USA, Colorado State Research Laboratory. Amelia Bradley takes notes on an experimental organism that was bred. The S11 organism was in the incubation stage, and at that very second, the shell began to break off. Because of overtime, Amelia witnessed the story. She immediately took out her phone to photograph everything and send it to the work chat. S11 looked adorable, a bit like sea wax, and had a body like a jellyfish with glowing tentacles. Electricity began to flow into the aquarium. The girl immediately unplugged it and was about to move it. The tentacles grabbed her. Amelia turned out to be the one whom fate chose. She thought she was dead, but someone touched a water bottle to her lips. Amelia screamed so that the tentacles would not eat her. Standing in front of her was Austin Cooper, the Lion King and the head of the Western tribe. He asked the girl not to spill the water, as it was very valuable here. Amelia began to apologize and thank the guy for saving her. Austin looked at her without taking his eyes off. He had never seen someone like her before. He asked the girl what tribe and what species she was from. She didn't understand what was happening and why she was in the desert, when just a minute ago she was in the laboratory. Austin said he had never heard of the lab tribe. They were definitely not his tribe. He was outraged that she was without males and was left alone in the desert. Amelia didn't understand anything, especially since the guy used some strange words like tribe, males. She noticed the lion's ears and began to touch them, squealing from their softness. The girl tried to remove them from him. Amelia thought she was hallucinating because of the C11 attack. Austin grabbed the girl's hand. He was angry. No one had the right to touch the king's ears. It was a forbidden area. Amelia did not take his words seriously and grabbed him by the tail and began to touch him. It seemed to the king that she was trying to court him. He took an arrow, put it to the girl's neck, and demanded to know who she was and what tribe she was from. The pain was real, which means she has moved somewhere and is now in danger. Amelia was confused. She did not know what to do. She escaped death, but was transported to an unknown time. A voice appeared in the girl's head, and then an incomprehensible bird with a girl's face appeared out of nowhere, saying that she was her system, White Ari. Amelia screamed, asking Austin to turn around and look at the yellow girl who appeared out of nowhere. He stood as if paralyzed. Amelia took the opportunity to remove the arrow from her throat. She was saved by the system, which said that she was now the girl's golden instrument and asked her not to call her yellow anymore, since she was white. Amelia did not understand what the system was talking about and why it had brought her to this strange time. As it turned out, the girl in her world died as a result of an accident associated with an unexpected mutation of a new species. But Amelia was lucky. The system chose her, making her the daughter of a desert world and endowing her with the skill of rain. After she completes the Oasis mission in this world, she will be able to be reborn in her own. The girl was furious that she died without receiving the glory for creating S11. She was offended that she had studied for so many years and even managed to find a job at a research institute. She was so busy that she had never even fallen in love or tried king crab. Amelia decided that she must return to her world after completing the mission. There were 4 main tribes in this world: the Western, Eastern, Northern, and Southern tribe. After the girl receives the 4 treasures of these worlds, she will be able to combine their power and become the goddess of water. Then she will have the power to turn the desert world into an oasis. To understand Amelia's rain skill, she needs to kiss Austin and she will understand everything. Amelia thought that the system was mocking her because just a minute ago he tried to kill her. A kiss was necessary if she wanted to come back, especially since the guy is handsome and has lion ears, which the girl liked so much. Amelia did not understand how to do this since he was ready to kill her because of one touch. And if she kissed him, then she would definitely not see her life. The system pushed her towards the guy and reassured her that no one would hurt the girl. Moreover, they would even begin to thank her. Amelia kissed Austin. The rain began to pour, and a voice sounded in the girl's head that she had received the kiss achievement and mastered the rain skill. The Lion King was happy. He felt the raindrops on him. Taking her in his arms, he said that there had been no rain on the territory of their tribe for a long time, and Amelia was a goddess sent to them by heaven. The girl now understood the words of the system that she would never be offended, but rather praised. Amelia turned on the know-it-all in her and assured Austin that there was nothing to worry about. As long as there was a lot of water vapor here, it would rise up in the airflow and begin to condense to form clouds. The king did not understand what she was talking about, but looked at her with admiration, making sure that she really was a goddess. Elliot the scorpion appeared out of nowhere, grabbed Amelia, and squeezed her tightly with his tail. She was in a lot of pain. She just calmed the lion, and then a scorpion appeared. Austin snatched the girl from the scorpion's hands, telling him that she was his female. Elliot quipped that the eternally lonely lion had finally got a female. After the scorpion's words that because of the patriarchy of the lion tribe, the latter can enjoy so many women, and maybe they will try this female together, Amelia pressed herself closer to Austin even more. The Lion King took out his arrows, aiming them at the scorpion. Having fought off all the arrows, Elliot said that Austin would soon change his mind, and it would be easier for him to just give the female to him. Leo was angry at such impudence. He asked Amelia not to go anywhere. He reincarnated as a lion and seriously decided to fight for the sake of the female. The scorpion accepted this fight. Amelia was shocked by what she saw. She did not understand what kind of world this was in which you could change your shape. For a second, she thought about escaping, but then she came to her senses because she was in a completely unfamiliar world, and if she escaped, she would definitely stumble upon some beast. She decided that the best thing to do in this situation would be to use the lion as a shield and slowly complete the system's missions. Amelia put her hand in her pocket and felt for something. Scorpio and Leo fought fiercely. She found a flashlight. Scorpions are nocturnal, so they are very sensitive to bright light. Amelia shined the flashlight on the scorpion, and it let out a howl from the brightness. Elliot ran away, leaving his tail in the sand. It turned out that he did not run away, but was heading from behind towards Amelia, his mouth open and about to eat her alive because of the pain it caused. The lion jumped on him, biting him, and the scorpion disappeared. Amelia found herself in Austin's arms, and he carefully asked if she was okay. The big scorpion was dead. This beastman seemed so dangerous, but the lion tore it into small pieces. In this world, everything was decided by strength. The weak became victims of the strong. Western region of the Lion King tribe. The daughter of the former leader of the Mayan tribe, she was worried about why Austin had not returned for so long. In the distance, she saw his silhouette and exhaled that the Lion King had finally returned. Seeing the girl in his arms, she tensed. There was a rumor in the tribe that Austin had returned not only with water, but also with a beautiful sister, and everyone wanted to see her. Amelia was in the priestess's house. Austin gave Maya flasks of rainwater to give to people. Maya was worried about the question of who the girl was with him and why he picked her up. Stroking Amelia's hand, Austin replied that the girl was attacked by a scorpion because she lost consciousness, and that's why he brought her to the tribe. Maya, of course, was pleased by the lion's kindness, but their reserves are barely enough to meet the needs of the tribe's inhabitants and will not be enough for a new person. Looking at him with a jealous gaze, she thought that it was necessary to expel the stranger since Austin was only hers. The Lion King had suspicions that the girl was the goddess of rain sent by him from heaven, because after meeting her, it began to rain. Maya could not believe his words, because Amelia did not look like a goddess at all. Surely they could find out whether the goddess was a girl or not, only when the priestess came. A priestess of the Ephekllar tribe entered the house. Those present were delighted with her and immediately rushed to ask her to use her stone in order to understand whether the girl was a goddess or not. The priestess asked the ball, emitting the light of the gods, to give her strength and show Amelia's fate. The stone fell to the ground, not revealing the divine power in the girl, but something was wrong. Even taking this into account, the stone should not have reacted like that. The stone showed the future that Amelia would bring a lot of rain. At the same time, he showed that a new tribe would come to their lands in order to expel everyone. Taking this opportunity, Maya approached Austin and asked how soon they would get this girl out of their tribe. The priestess stopped them. The girl could not be kicked out, as she could influence the future of their tribe, and everything had to be carefully weighed. Maya suggested holding a vote and thus deciding the fate of this girl. Opinions were divided. The girls were in favor of kicking her out. and the guys, on the contrary, were in favor of leaving the female in the tribe. Amelia woke up and did not understand what the screams and noise were all around. Austin said in an orderly tone that this was his female, and no one would lay a finger on her. Amelia was struck by his words that she was his female, and she didn't understand why he started talking like that again. Maya clenched her hand into a fist. She believed that only she could be Austin's female. Austin abode. He brought Amelia to his monastery. Now she had to live with him. Pointing to the place where the girl would sleep, he clarified that since she was his female, he would sleep with her. Amelia was indignant. She was not going to sleep with a guy she barely knew, and besides, she noticed that Maya was not breathing smoothly towards him and clearly would not be happy with this situation. Austin hugged the girl and said that Maya was just his youngest, and she was his female. It's time for dinner. This morning the Lion King shot a boar, cutting off a leg and giving it to Amelia. He said with hope in his voice that she should have enough. The girl didn't understand how she was supposed to eat it. Austin did not understand her indignation. How else can you eat meat other than bite and eat? The female vomited from what she saw. She, of course, understood that lions eat raw meat. But Austin was now in human form. Had they really not learned to use fire in this world? Amelia asked if he had a fire, but the fires of their tribe were well guarded, and there was none in the lion's abode. She couldn't stay hungry, but it was also impossible to eat raw meat, so the girl made do with only fruit. The female was eating apples and thinking that she would have to teach them something, and she would start by making a fire. Although they slept together, fortunately for her, Austin did not do strange things. A system appeared in front of Amelia. She was outraged why the girl was hesitating and had not yet attacked him with kisses. The girl did not understand what kisses had to do with fulfilling the Oasis mission, and what this had to do with the king. The system reminded me of the kiss after which the rain skill opened, and in order to get more skills, you should have more intimacy with Austin. Amelia decided that she would not lose anything if she kissed such a handsome guy, but then she stopped these thoughts. The Lion King turned to the female and hugged her, but felt her heat. He picked her up from the ground and began to cowardly so that she would wake up. Most likely the girl had hypothermia. He picked her up and carried her to the desert fox Oscar, who knew about healing. Oscar was surprised how he was found, but then he remembered what a keen sense of smell the lion has. The fox was struck by the beauty of the female, but her condition was critical, and he told the lion that if he could not take care of her, then let him give her to him. Austin looked at Oscar angrily and ordered him to discard unnecessary thoughts, since this was his female. The dune cat, Lassie, saw the guys, seeing Amelia and how she was suffering. The cat shook the guys so that they would not stand like a pillar, but would help. Amelia had a very hot forehead. The fox said that if it was very serious hypothermia, then there was no time to delay. The female's clothes were all wet because of the rain, and Austin completely forgot about it and laid her on the cold ground. Lassie went to get her clothes to change the girls. Oscar's cave. Austin began to hastily change Amelia's clothes. He was a little embarrassed, since before this incident he had never seen a woman's body. The lion thanked the fox for the medicine and said that he would bring the boar later. Oscar joked that he was saving the female not because of the boar, but because of her beauty. But in fact, he had long dreamed of trying boar. Austin sat the female down and began to give her the medicine, but it flowed out of her mouth, and then the lion found a way to give the medicine so that it would not flow out. Pouring the medicine into his mouth, the Lion King kissed Amelia. The girl felt very sad. She began to come to her senses, but it seemed to her that it was a dream, and decided that in a dream she could do whatever she wanted, so she pressed Austin closer to her. The Lion King pushed her away, and the female finally woke up. He said with joy in his voice that the drug worked, and Amelia realized that the bitterness was not without reason. The girl realized that this kiss was not a dream, and at that very second she felt ashamed of her action. A mission appeared and congratulated her on the appearance of the thunder skill, but for now, this skill is at the stage of stagnation, so Amelia cannot use it. Amelia accepted that kissing Austin really opens up new skills, but is there really no other way? The mission smiled sarcastically and said that there are other ways. For example, try to kiss someone else. For example, a fox. The girl was upset. It was obvious that she meant a change in method, not a person. Oscar approached Amelia. Taking her hand, he introduced himself and offered to become his female instead of Austin, since he was better. He can not only dig holes well, but also heal. Besides, he is great at giving massages, and he is also small and cute. For Amelia, the locals were so primitive because they asked to be their females. First a scorpion, then a lion, now a fox. As soon as the girl began to refuse him, Oscar immediately made a very sweet look that the girl melted and asked to touch his tail. She took him in her arms, but he was so small, cute, and fluffy. Seeing this, Austin grabbed Amelia by the hand, saying that it was time for them to return. The fox fell to the ground. Oscar shouted after them that they had forgotten their clothes. Amelia recognized her clothes. She was surprised why the fox had them and who and when managed to change them. Austin admitted that he was the one who changed her clothes, since she was his female, and he had to take care of her clothes. The girl was unconscious, and the king could not ask her permission and changed clothes with his eyes closed. Seeing the displeasure on Amelia's face, Austin grabbed her hand and asked what she had against him. She reassured him that everything was fine because he had saved her life so many times, and she had never even thanked him. The Lion King looked confused. He couldn't understand if she wasn't unhappy with him, then why she was angry when she found out that he had changed her clothes. Amelia believed that they were not too close for this, especially since he did not even know her name. Austin decided to get acquainted again, introducing himself. He asked the girl's name and what tribe she was from, but if there were no problems with the name, then she didn't know what to say about the tribe. He wondered how it could be that there was no tribe. Had she been driven out or something worse? The lion pressed the girl to the wall and said that now all this does not matter. Since she is his female, she will henceforth be a member of his tribe. Amelia pushed Austin away. She was outraged by such impudence. He insisted from the very first meeting that she was his female, but the girl did not even give her consent. Leo grabbed Amelia by the hands and placed her on his chest. It was important for him to find out what he had to do, that she agreed to become his female. The girl believed that first they needed to get to know each other better. Austin transformed from a man to a lion. Amelia pulled herself together so as not to squeeze the lion into her arms and said that you couldn't bribe her with this. Where she comes from, only those who love each other become partners. The Lion King did not know what it was to love, but the girl explained that love is when an invisible connection arises between two people. They are constantly in each other's thoughts. Sometimes they are sad because of this, and sometimes they are endlessly happy. It began to rain in the cave. Amelia thought that it was because of her rain skill that rain clouds could form in caves, but she didn't understand what activated the skill this time. Austin was happy about the rain, but it was strange for him that he was only walking inside the cave. The lion hugged the girl. He was glad that she appeared in his life, because his tribe needed her so much. The guy covered Amelia with a skin so that she wouldn't catch a cold again. Austin asked the girl to hold the skin herself, since he needed to get to the village and bring people so that the donation would not be wasted. He left, and Amelia remained in her thoughts, which were connected with Austin. She convinced herself not to be tempted by his good attitude towards her. The king's heart was beating strongly, and he could not understand what this could be connected with. The villagers carried containers to collect water, discussing the new girl. Many began to believe that she really was a goddess. Amelia considered this place to be very primitive. The inhabitants did not make fires, ate raw meat, and even stored water inside the leaves. Austin approached the girl with the news that the priestess wanted to see her again. The priestess again took out her magic ball and repeated her ritual related to the presence of Amelia's magical powers. Amelia was amazed by the use of the magic ball, although the inhabitants of the tribe seemed primitive to her. But the priestess was completely different. Austin barely had time to cover the girl with himself when a magic stone exploded above them. The priestess was confused. The magic stone backfired. But the problem was that this stone had been passed down from generation to generation, and this had never happened before. The king was interested in the question of the presence of magical powers of his new companion. Ephikhlar thought that she was already too old to call upon the powers of the gods, But one thing she knew for sure was that Amelia was an unusual girl. After the priestess's words that luck and misfortune go hand in hand, Austin sincerely believed that she, calling rain for them over and over again, would become their great luck. Maya saw the female holding the hand of the Lion King. She was angry, not understanding when they managed to get so close and why the girl inspires such trust in him. One of the guys from the tribe tried to court Maya for a long time, but she was adamant, pushing him away every time. But now, she decided to take advantage of him, thereby getting rid of Amelia. Austin was busy for days with the problems of the tribe. Then they would turn to him for help in finding a child who had disappeared somewhere. Then he was resolving issues related to food and the like. Amelia was bored alone, but the king did not have time for her, since the leader had too many worries and troubles. In order not to disturb him again, she decided to return to the cave alone. And lately, she had been getting the feeling more and more often that someone was watching her. Maya's messenger was indeed watching her, but he succeeded with difficulty, since Amelia was very vigilant, and this angered him, since he had to provide the result to his beloved. The guy thought about it. He urgently needed to figure out how to get rid of Amelia. An idea came to his mind. He called out to the girl and introduced himself to her. His name was Elliot. As a sign of gratitude, Elliot decided to collect mushrooms and give them to Amelia. Looking into the basket, the girl saw a mountain of poisonous mushrooms. She was scared that the guy didn't know about it and ate them all the time. Taking the mushroom, she said that it contains 2 types of poisons. After eating this mushroom, a person experiences nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. After a couple of days, these symptoms disappear. But this is deceptive, since the toxins have already penetrated the organs, and it is possible even death. Elliot was shocked that Amelia knew everything about mushrooms, and his plan failed. He angrily pushed her. She fell to the ground, attacking the girl. Elliot said that since she knew too much about mushrooms, she would have to act in a different way. Elliot was going to finish off Amelia, but she had a cute face and not a bad figure. The guy felt sorry for killing her without doing anything, so he decided to enjoy her first. The girl hit him between the legs, and the terrible pain made him even angrier. There was a transformation into a dragon. Elliot was going to eat Amelia alive. She ran as fast as she could, but her strength was already running low. The settlement was far away. The girl began to worry that she would not have time to reach Austin. Stumbling over a stone, she fell, but the thought came into her head that the weak point of lizards is their eyes. Taking a handful of sand, she threw it at Elliot. He fell, hitting his head on the stone. The lizard was defeated, but Amelia still needed to get to the village. Her strength was leaving her. Not far from the settlement, she began to lose consciousness. Maya stepped on her hand, saying that now the girl's life is in her hands, and she dreams of her begging for mercy. Austin collected a whole leaf of various fruits for Amelia. He hoped that she was waiting for him in the cave and would be glad to have so much food. Not far from the cave, the guy noticed Elliot lying on the ground and immediately called the fox for help. After checking the cave and not finding Amelia there, Austin became worried because it was already late, so he went to look for her. Maya blocked his path, asking questions about the attack on Elliot. Seeing that Elliot had come to his senses, she rushed to him and began to whisper that the guy would blame Amelia for everything. He told the guy his legend that today he went to the mountains, shot several hares, collected fruits and mushrooms, and on the way back, he was stopped by the goddess, and he lost consciousness. Austin couldn't believe that Amelia hit him on the head in order to take everything he got. A rumor spread among the tribe that the goddess was not a goddess at all, but a spy from another tribe. Someone was on her side because it was Amelia who called rain for the residents. Someone, on the contrary, said that she tried to gain their trust by deception. But so far, no one knows what kind of trick the girl used to call rain. While passing by a group of girls discussing Amelia, the Lion King heard that they were talking about the incident with Elliot. Allegedly, she hit the guy on the head and took his prey. Austin still did not give up and continued to search for his chosen one, but after combing the territory of the entire tribe, he found her. Men from the tribe approached the leader and demanded to find Amelia. Since it was he who brought her, they were going to deal with her. The guy became gloomy. He didn't understand at what exact moment rumors began to spread that the girl was a spy. Austin was very angry when he learned about such rumors. He forbade the residents of the tribe to say such things until Amelia was found and explained everything. Having pushed everyone away, he went on a search, thinking that he needed to be the first to find the girl. Otherwise, if the rumor monger finds her first, then you never know what he can do to her. The leader came to the place where yesterday he found Elliot lying unconscious. Using his keen sense of smell, he smelled 2 types of blood. One of the smells belonged to Elliot, and the second to Amelia. It turns out that someone injured the girl in this place. The tracks were unclear, but if you examined them carefully, you could understand that they belonged to Amelia. An enraged Austin stormed into Elliot's cabin, calling him a liar. Grabbing him by the neck, the Lion King demanded to know what happened that day, since he found traces of Amelia's blood. Austin forced the guy to admit that he took on his animal form and chased the girl. Because of this, she fell and got hurt. Elliot almost confessed, but realized in time that he could say too much and continued to lie, looking into the leader's eyes. The Lion King slapped Elliot in the face. He didn't believe a single word he said. Since there was enough food in the lion's cave, there was no point in the girl stealing it. The priestess intervened in time, stopping Austin, because if he kills the guy, he will lose his only clue, especially since some time ago she checked Amelia's condition through a magic stone. She was still alive. The leader gave the guy one last chance to tell how everything really happened and where his chosen one is now. Finally, Elliot told the truth. The last thing he remembers is Amelia throwing sand in his eyes. After that, he didn't see anything, and the girl must have run into the settlement. Speaking to the residents of the tribe, the leader said that now they all know the truth, that no one sent Amelia to them. The residents, with their words, almost insulted the innocent. Now they are obliged to go in search of her. Amelia woke up in some kind of dungeon. She was incredibly hungry. She was thinking about stewed pork, pizza, and fruit. The last thing the girl wanted was to die of hunger. A bright light entered the girl's eyes, and someone entered the cave. She began to rave, repeating that the lord of the dungeon should not take her away. It was a worried Austin. Having picked up his chosen one, he was glad that he had finally found her. The girl's body was very exhausted. She had been starving for a long time. The leader blamed himself for everything. He had been looking for her for too long. The only way to get better faster, according to the fox, was the zingling flower. It calmed the mind and nourished the body, and if taken for some time, the body should recover. This flower grew only in the rocky forest, and there are too many wild animals, and foxes rarely go there, so he did not have a flower at hand, but the leader said that there was such a flower in the settlement, and he would go get it. Maya intervened in the conversation. A crowd of residents of the settlement stood behind her. She forbade the use of the flower. She was surprised that after so many days Amelia was still alive. But in such a case, she also had a second plan. Maya told the king that the girl spilled all the water stored in the cave. It was the water of their entire settlement. And if she was a goddess, then why did she do this to them? Voices of support were heard behind her. The crowd insisted that they did not believe that the goddess could do this to them, and that they would not tolerate the fact that the girl had wasted all their water supplies, and certainly would not share the zingling flower with her after that. The leader was angry. He did not believe that Amelia could spill all their water, and for that matter, Austin was going to go into the rocky forest and find the flower on his own. He left Amelia in the care of the fox, and gave instructions that if she woke up, then Oscar should give her something to eat from the supplies in his cave. Pushing Maya, Austin headed into the forest. Turning around, he told her that he hoped that she was now happy with what happened to Amelia. Maya was angry that the Lion King glared at her because of some female. She promised herself that she would find a way to kill her. After the leader left, Maya demanded that Oscar give them the female, since she had destroyed all the water supplies. The fox was not going to do this, but the girl said that since he didn't want to do it in a good way, then he would have to do it in a bad way and let him not complain later. She ordered the residents to grab Amelia. With a smile on his face, he took the girl in his arms and disappeared into his holes. Oscar's holes were too dangerous. They were full of traps, so Maya ordered not to go further, since there was no point in taking risks for the sake of this deceased woman. The fox never thought that the tunnel he dug a couple of days ago would come in handy so soon. Oscar leaned over Amelia's face and whispered that she should wake up and thank him for saving her. When the girl woke up, the fox was overjoyed. He grabbed her hand and squeezed it tightly. Amelia looked around, not understanding where she was and why Oscar was in front of her and not Austin, because before she lost consciousness, she saw him. The fox put his finger to Amelia's lips, not allowing her to say a word, believing that first she needed to eat, but not too much, since she couldn't eat too much at once. Oscar asked the girl what she wanted to eat. She wanted soup or porridge, but the fox didn't even know those words, let alone what it was. Smiling, Amelia decided that she would first eat some fruit, and then teach the fox how to cook soup and porridge. In order not to waste time, the girl decided to teach Oscar how to make fire. When he finally succeeded, he transformed into a fox and jumped into her lap. He was happy that he managed to get the sacred fire. At that moment, Austin returned. Seeing what was happening, he bared his teeth at the fox, believing that he had again thought of something about his female. Oscar was worried that the Lion King might not find the way to his cave, so he left marks leading to this place. But he can't think that Austin will find them so quickly and interrupt his stay with Amelia. The leader warned for the last time that Amelia was his female, and he did not intend to share her with anyone. The desert fox pretended not to hear him. He did not consider the girl to be the female leader, since she did not give him consent to this. Suddenly, Amelia's body became very heavy, and her chest contracted so much that it was difficult for her to breathe. But she still had the strength to cry out that she belonged to no one but herself. Austin quickly gave her a Zingling flower, and after eating it, the girl immediately felt a little better. Amelia realized that it didn't seem to her that it was the Lion King who saved her and locked up the beast that attacked her, but she still didn't understand one thing who dragged her into the cave and spilled all the water. Putting aside all these thoughts for a while, she decided to treat Austin's wound, which he received when he was looking for Zingling flowers. The wound was too deep. It needed to be treated urgently. Otherwise, it could become infected. The girl asked the desert fox for antiseptic herbs to quickly disinfect the wound, but the fox did not understand a single word she said. Amelia understood from his look that he did not know this, because in their world there are no such concepts, and it would be difficult to explain what it is. She remembered that she saw Skullcap in the morning near Austin's cave. Skullcap had a disinfecting effect, and Tyon helped stop bleeding. Half an hour later, the fox brought everything he needed. He found the plants right where Amelia said. When Oscar returned, the guys were sitting around the fire. Austin couldn't get enough of the sacred fire. The moment Amelia put the herbs in boiling water, the guys froze in surprise. The girl explained to them that in this way, she would prepare the medicine, and when Austin took it, the wound would stop bleeding and heal. The desert fox was amazed by her knowledge. He knew much more than that and also understood healing. He grabbed Amelia by the hand and began to beg her to become his teacher. The girl was dumbfounded. The fox believed that even though Amelia refused to be his female, being her student was also not bad, especially since no one forbade the student and teacher from hugging. Austin grabbed Oscar by the fur and told him not to dare to rub against his female anymore. A mission appeared in front of Amelia and congratulated her on unlocking the function of the plant in prison. The girl grabbed the mission. She was angry with her for pretending not to hear her when Amelia's life was hanging by a thread. And now that she was saved, the mission appears as if nothing had happened. Although she was a system, she was not omnipotent. She could not directly interfere in Amelia's life and decide what to do next. Everything depended only on the girl herself. The mission handed Amelia a ball with a plant and advised her to quickly activate this function. Having touched the ball, the girl was illuminated by rays of bright light. Amelia had a plant atlas in front of her. She can store known types of plants in it, and now she can place Skullcap there and store it until she needs it. It was possible to acquire not only new skills, but also discover new functions of the system. Many more surprises awaited the girl in the future. While in prison, Elliot thought about Maya. He hoped that she would not suffer the same fate as him. The bars of the dungeon opened and Maya entered. The girl stunned the guards and came to save Elliot, since Austin was obsessed with Amelia and could execute the guy because of her. Maya told the guy to run into the desert and find Harold there. She and Austin didn't get along, and he would immediately accept the guy as soon as he found out that he had abandoned the Lion King. And to prove this, Elliot must say that the leader has a goddess who can call for rain. Maya considered her plan ideal, because if Harold found out about this, the Western tribe would definitely come for her. Given Austin's character, he would never give her up voluntarily. Returning to the settlement, children ran up to the Lion King and began to ask how he alone went into the rocky forest for the singling flower. Smiling, the leader patted the child on the head and said that he was wounded. But thanks to the goddess, everything was fine with him, and his wound had healed. The children were delighted that the goddess could not only cause rain, but also heal wounds. A crowd of handcuffed people walked past the boys. It was Elliot's mother and sister. The girl said that last night Elliot escaped from prison. Someone helped him by stunning 2 guards. Everyone was so angry that they decided to take his mother and sister into custody. Everyone wants them to atone for his sins. Amelia did not understand why the guy's relatives had to atone for his sins. Austin explained that his mother was to blame for not being able to raise him properly, and his sister was unable to stop her brother. The leader believed that the father did not bear any responsibility for raising his son, since most of the time he was hunting. Amelia decided to challenge his words, because in her country, it was believed that the father was responsible for raising his children. She was going to stop it, since Elliot attacked her specifically, and she wasn't even allowed to say a word. Austin tried to stop her, worried that she had not yet recovered properly. Observing the situation, Oscar considered Amelia's words rational, but he did not fully understand why the father should be responsible for upbringing. The crowd bayed for blood, shouting words of punishment against Elliot's relatives. Maya ordered everyone to calm down, saying that since Elliot had escaped, his mother and sister would have to pay for his sins, and from that day on, they would be considered captives and should be punished and rewarded with children so that they could atone for their sins and breathe new life tribe. This ceremony was interrupted by Amelia running up, shouting that she objected. Maya was not at a loss at that moment, but said that Amelia was just in time because she was the sinner who spilled their water. The girl began to justify herself, since she did not spill the water, and when she woke up, the water had already been spilled. Maya did not want to listen to her, since the latter had no evidence, so she gave the order to grab Amelia and tie her to a pole. The girl was jubilant with victory, because no one except her knew that it was Maya herself who spilled all the water. Austin appeared out of nowhere. He stood in front of Amelia, thereby protecting her. He believed that in this case, no one would dare to touch her. Maya believed that the girl should atone for her guilt. And if she is a goddess, then let her call it rain right now and replenish all their water supplies. Amelia thought that although she is not a goddess, she can make rain. And if with the status of a goddess she can save the innocent, then so be it. A system appeared. She liked the girl's way of thinking, but there was one problem. At the moment, the rain skill was on cooldown, which means it was temporarily unavailable. After touching Austin, Amelia publicly stated that she would give the tribe rain, but not now, since she needs to absorb enough spiritual power from heaven and earth to bring rain, because the last call of rain has drained her strength, and it will take some time before she can do it again. Maya insisted on her own. She argued that it was unknown how long it might take to accumulate enough spiritual power, but there was no water in the tribe, and the inhabitants could die of thirst. The leader reassured everyone by saying that the rainy season would begin next month, and before that time he would go to Izet and return with supplies of water. The residents immediately softened. They agreed that if there was water, they would have no complaints. The desert fox didn't understand why Amelia was so protective of Elliot's sister and mother, but she didn't agree with the punishment Maya gave them. She was very scared, but she did not deviate from her plan and ordered their immediate release. Hope appeared in the girl's eyes. The inhabitants of the tribe punished traitors in this way, and they, led by May, believed that Amelia did not have the right to establish her own rules. With confidence in her voice, the girl said, "Since she is a goddess, she has the right to vote, especially since this type of punishment is a tradition of the tribe, does not mean that this is the right path. She was sent to the tribe to change the current state of affairs and eradicate injustice. Only Elliot is to blame for what happened, and his family has nothing to do with it," Amelia said. She was already furious because she could understand why men were not outraged by injustice, because they were pursuing their own selfish goals, but how a woman could so easily leave people like her to be torn to pieces. Turning to the residents of the tribe, she asked if they were afraid of the same fate they had prepared for Elliot's mother and sister. In conclusion, Amelia ordered that if they are afraid that no one will be punished, then let them find the culprit and leave the woman and child alone. The reason why the girl absorbs spiritual power so slowly is because of the cruelty, stupidity, and ignorance of the tribe's residents. The residents agreed with Amelia. They believed that women should not experience such cruel treatment, and the goddess came to help them. One of the inhabitants of the tribe jumped out of the crowd. He threw an axe at the girl, saying that soon he would finally be able to enjoy the bodies of the girls, and could not leave it just like that, since they must pay for their sins and give birth to children. Amelia was numb. Austin quickly reacted and knocked down the axe. He was furious that someone could encroach on the life of the goddess. The desert fox exhaled that everything was fine with Amelia, and she was delighted with the leader. He looked majestic. It was not for nothing that the girl brought him a bow and arrows. Pointing an arrow towards the inhabitants, he said that no one was allowed to touch Amelia. Did the words of the leader really mean nothing to them? Having fired an arrow into the attacker's leg, Austin gave a final warning. Otherwise, the arrow would no longer be in the leg. The Lion King spoke to the tribe, repeating Amelia's words that because of their sinful tradition, the tribe was not blessed enough by the rains. Raising the hand of the goddess, he announced that from this day on, everyone is responsible only for their own actions, and the family of the sinner will not pay for him. The crowd supported the goddess, but there were also dissatisfied ones who lost their prey because of Amelia. The girl was happy. She achieved everything she wanted. But thanks to Austin, she would not have been able to do this alone. Amelia thanked the Lion King for his trust and for always supporting her. Maya frowned. She couldn't believe that this female had convinced everyone with just a few words. The girls were untied, and they rushed to hug Amelia and thank her. The girl assured them that if anyone dared to offend their mother and sister, they could turn to her or the leader, and the culprit would definitely be punished. A cry was heard from the crowd. A resident of the Arya tribe was giving birth. In Austin's tribe, the birth of a child was considered a great event at which the leader should be present. He was about to head to the priestess's hut. Amelia tagged along with him. The priestess stood over the woman in labor and prayed. The goddess was shocked by what she saw, because if you just stand and pray, the child may not be born at all. The girl lost consciousness. The desert fox tried to help, but the priestess stopped him, saying that most likely the child no longer belonged to their tribe, and someone had cursed them. Amelia was indignant that the priestess so easily abandoned the woman in labor and the child, so she decided to take everything into her own hands and help the child be born. Austin approved of her initiative, as he believed that it was better to let her try to help than to just stand and watch. The fox also supported, since all past attempts had failed, and maybe it was the goddess who would fix everything. Amelia asked the Lion King to bring fruit, since Arya would need to restore her strength, and asked Oscar to give her the herbs he brought, as well as a knife, skin, and hot water. The desert fox was worried. He could still understand why the skin and the knife were needed, but he didn't understand what the hot water was for, since the places where the fires were kept were too far away, and he was afraid of not making it in time. Grabbing Oscar's face, Amelia asked him to remember everything she taught him. Residents stood near the priestess's hut and discussed the current situation. They noticed a fox running out of the room. Seeing how Oscar summoned the sacred fire, the inhabitants of the settlement froze with their mouths open. He was proud of himself, saying that it was the goddess who taught him how to summon the sacred fire. The residents clapped their hands with joy. They were going to immediately bow to the goddess and ask for forgiveness for their rudeness. The leader blocked their path and asked them not to do this now, since the goddess was fighting for the life of the child and should not be disturbed. Amelia managed to bring the girl to her senses. She insisted that Arya eat an apple, as she needed to gain strength. Oscar arrived in time with a vat of heated water, but this water was not enough, and the girl sent the leader to bring more. The goddess gave instructions. The priestess had to constantly wipe Arya with hot water to speed up the opening of the uterus, and the desert fox had to rub the points that she would show in order to calm the woman in labor and ease her pain a little. Everything worked out for Amelia. The child was born. Everything was fine with the girl. She was absolutely healthy. The goddess redistributed the child to the mother. The leader praised the girl for doing a good job stroking her face. The inhabitants of the settlement fell to their knees before Amelia. They begged for forgiveness for their ignorance in the past, but now they were completely at her disposal. The girl was confused by what she saw, but deep down she liked it, because now her status would change. Remembering that the residents of the settlement were interested in making fire, and she offered to teach them how to do it in different ways, the crowd was happy. The priestess provided the goddess with a knife and asked her to carve all the methods in stone so that they could master them all day by day. Amelia handed over the newly born girl to the leader. He smiled, imagining their life together with the goddess and the children they might have. 15 minutes later, she finished, and to make it clearer for the residents, the girl drew visual drawings of how to make fire. Austin was interested in one question. What does this drawing mean? Amelia remembered another way to obtain water in the desert: evaporation. First, you had to find a place where the sun's rays always hit, then dig a hole in that place and place a container for water there, then cover the hole with a large sheet and secure it with stones. And at the end, you need to place another stone on the sheet so that it stretches the surface. And that's it. Drops of water fell into the container. Austin did not hide his surprise at what he saw and heard. Amelia explained that there would not be as much water as they wanted, but this method would save them in case of urgent need. The goddess also drew how exactly to give birth and care for women after it. Since postpartum care is very important for restoring a woman's body, the girl was confident in the priestess's ability to quickly learn everything. The crowd began to shout words of gratitude and praise to the goddess. Her soul felt very warm. She caught herself thinking that for those who understand science, moving through worlds is not scary. When Maya heard that Amelia had decided to deliver Arya, she thought that she would definitely fail, but the girl did not expect that she would not only not fail, but would also win everyone's love. A new plan came into her head. If the goddess was desecrated by several people at once, then the leader would definitely abandon her. Having said goodbye to the crowd, the guys discussed the leader's trip to Azet for water. The desert fox was against this, since Azet was captured by Harold, and it was dangerous to go there. The Lion King was going to make good on his promise. Even though Amelia had solved the urgent need for water, Austin still needed to provide the tribe with water. Tomorrow morning, he was going to set off and invited the goddess to go with him. She agreed with great pleasure. The leader reassured her that he would protect her. When Amelia was locked in the water storage, she found green beads there. This small type of stone must be very valuable for the desert. The girl suspected that they belonged to the one who locked her there. Oscar had seen these beads earlier, and Maya wore a necklace made from them. Amelia was going to talk to the girl before leaving for Azet. So as not to create any more problems, Austin decided to go with her. They had time until the morning to search. The desert fox remembered that in order for it to rain, the goddess needs to absorb the spiritual power of heaven and earth, and if there is some way to speed up the process, then they will not have to go to such a dangerous place. She blushed. The girl could not admit that her skill was currently suspended, so she said that there was no such way. More precisely, there was one way, but everything connected with intimacy with Austin embarrassed her very much. The leader believed that even though Amelia could make it rain, they could not always rely on her. He, as a leader, must be able to independently provide for his tribe. Austin promised that one day the time would definitely come when the western part of the desert would turn into an oasis. He was even ready to try to dig a tunnel from the river to their settlement. Amelia realized that the Lion King's dream coincided with the task given to her by the system. The goddess had information that the eastern, western, southern, and northern tribes had their own treasures, and if they were combined, the goddess of water would arrive and turn the entire desert into an oasis. The guys shook their heads. They had not heard anything about the treasures, but were ready to ask the residents of the settlement. Looking at the green bead, Amelia thought about Austin and Oscar, who went to prepare skins and provisions for the morning. Suddenly, she heard a sound. Getting up to see who came, the girl fell into the hanging net. It's good that after that incident with Elliot, she began to carry a knife with her, which she used to cut the mesh and get out. Amelia saw Maya in front of her. As soon as she realized that she had been declassified, she said that now the goddess would not live. She swung a spear at Amelia, but the girl parried her blow, knocking Maya to the ground, pressing the stick of the spear to her throat. At that moment, Austin returned. Taking advantage of the situation, Maya began to beg the leader to save her, since Amelia wants to kill her. The goddess was furious at such accusations. She believed that the girl had already gone too far. Austin trusted Amelia without a doubt, asked her to stand up, and said that he would sort everything out himself. Maya began to cry. She did not expect such an outcome, because in her opinion, the leader should be on her side. Kneeling down in front of her, he said that if it weren't for her father, who had him in the desert, he would have been there and died. The Lion King always wanted to properly repay him for this. The leader wiped the tears from Maya's eyes and continued that this is why he always pampered her and forgave her for small offenses. Perhaps it was because of his kindness that the girl grew up so arrogant and managed to offend Amelia several times. Anger appeared on the Lion King's face. He said that Amelia was his woman and the girl's older sister, and he would not allow her to be harmed. Maya continued to lie, but Austin cut her short, because it was he who taught her to weave the kind of nets that she used during the attack, and pieces of her necklace were found in the cave for storing water. The girl continued to claim that it was not her, since if she told the truth, the entire tribe would turn away from her. Maya decided to throw all the blame on Elliot, saying that a couple of days ago she saw Elliot pour out all their water supplies and was about to go tell her brother about it when the guy threatened to make her one of his females. Elliot also ordered to place all the blame on Amelia, which is why she had to do so, especially with the appearance of the goddess. The leader began to take care of her. This angered Maya. Austin was convinced that this did not justify the girl's behavior, which is why she should apologize to Amelia, promise not to do this again, and tell the whole truth to the tribe. The girl had to agree, since the leader promised to stop treating her as a sister and thereby turn away from her. Having apologized to Amelia, Maya expressed a desire to go with them to fetch water in Azet, thereby making amends. But in her heart, the girl pursued another goal, to be closer to Austin. The leader considered this a good offer and decided that tomorrow morning he and Amelia would be the first to go in search of other sources of water, and Maya, along with other members of the tribe, would go to Azet for water. Maya had to agree, although she was unhappy, but otherwise she would have angered Austin. Getting up early in the morning, Amelia and Austin decided to hit the road, but the girl was worried about how they would get there. In a second, the leader transformed into a lion and ordered his companion to climb onto it. The girl could not believe her luck, and that someday in her life she would have to ride a lion. Amelia began to hug the lion and admire his thick mane, thick tail, soft fur, and her favorite ears. Austin thought about what the girl liked, since she spent a very long time touching his sensitive places and stroking him. They set off. The girl was beside herself with happiness and the speed of the Lion King. A few days later, the city of Azet. After a long time spent in the desert, Amelia was surprised to see a large number of people. Her companion explained that Azet is one of the few cities in the West that is washed by a river. In addition to this, on the other side of the river is the southern city of the Acropolis. So Azet became a major trading center between the West and the South. Now it became clear to Amelia why this city looks much more civilized than the settlement she found herself in. After staring, the girl almost knocked down the stranger, who shouted at her to watch where she was going. Amelia began to apologize when the stranger immediately changed his face. The stranger was struck by the beauty of the girl and immediately invited her to become his woman, despite the fact that his wife and 2 children stood behind him. The girl was beside herself with rage. She could not understand how a man who has a wife and children could hit on another, especially in their presence. At the same second, Austin approached Amelia, putting his arm around her waist. He told the stranger that this was his woman, and he was the only one she needed, so he should get out of here immediately. Once again, the leader said that she was his woman, and this time the goddess no longer resisted, and her heart began to beat wildly after these words. Taking her hand, they walked on, Austin warning his companion that she should stay away from these smelly males. A conflict broke out in the market. Its participants were Klaus, the owner of the market, and a guy who owed him a skin for a place in the market, since according to the terms of trade, every day was worth 1 skin. These few days were unsuccessful for the guy. Instead of the skin, he suggested that the owner take stones. Klaus kicked the stones and they scattered. He didn't need them, believing that if you don't have a skin, then there's no place in the market, and such weaklings are not needed here. Having pushed the guy with all his strength, he fell right in front of Amelia. The girl noticed the stones. They were the legendary diamonds called pigeon eggs. This guy definitely did not know about their value. Amelia helped the guy get up. The market owner, who was watching, drooled on the girl. Coming very close to her, Klaus said that this loser did not deserve her attention, but he was really rich and powerful, and would she like to visit his house? Austin came to the girl's aid, grabbed the guy by the hand, and asked him how he had the courage to touch his girlfriend. Klaus was surprised to see Austin in front of him. He rushed with all his might to report the appearance of the Lion King on Harold's lands. Amelia offered to seize this guy so that he would not have time to report, but the leader did not consider this necessary, since he had already been noticed by many. Since this was Harold's territory, sooner or later they would still clash. It was inevitable. Austin took out the skin and offered to exchange it for a stone, which the unknown guy offered to the market owner. But the stranger gave it away just like that in gratitude for his help. But the Lion King insisted on his own and gave the skin, since he was not trying to help this guy, but was just protecting his girlfriend. Austin gave the stone to Amelia in gratitude for the fact that she went with him, especially since he saw how much she liked the stone. She was happy and thought about who wouldn't like a 10-carat diamond. She should definitely take it with her when she goes to her world. The leader was called out by a resident of his tribe. They had already arrived in Aze to exchange skins for water. Amelia did not see Maya among them, who was supposed to lead them, but the guys said that she had a friend in Izet whom she would like to meet, so only when she reached the city did she leave. Crowley's palace. Maya met with an old acquaintance. It was Elliot. At one time, she gave him instructions, and he now lives in Azet and does not need anything. The girl asked to arrange a meeting with Crowley. She needed him to help her deal with Amelia. Elliot brought Maya to Crowley's room. 2 girls were lying next to him. But when he saw the stranger, he was not averse to a 3rd one. Crowley, lord of the city of Izeth. The ruler was introduced to the girl as the daughter of the previous leader of the tribe he was talking about. Maya was annoyed that he looked at her like that, because her heart belonged only to Austin. The guest began her story about the goddess of rain, about which the ruler had probably already heard a lot from Elliot. Now the goddess was in Azet and could easily be captured. Approaching the girl, Crowley said that of course he would grab the rain goddess, but there was no need to be in such a hurry. He was amazed by the beauty of Maya. It is not surprising that Elliot turned his life upside down for her. The ruler wanted to take her for himself. Brushing Crowley aside, she said that she was a noble woman of her tribe, and they would have already executed him. The Lord kissed her. He didn't care what he did in her tribe, because they are now in Aze, and here he is a god, and those who do not realize this should be punished. Maya tried to break free and called Austin for help. This time, they were able to get a lot more water, and they no longer had to worry about water supplies. The tribe's residents were about to go home. Amelia looked around and saw a crowd approaching them, led by the same market owner. Austin instructed one of the guys from his tribe to take the goddess away while he distracted them. The girl was worried about the leader, because this was the territory of those guys. He calmed her down and asked her to wait and be smart. Klaus ordered that Austin be captured so that they could present him to the Lord. The Lion King was confident in his abilities, so he went towards the crowd alone. Having dealt with everyone, the leader put a spear to the throat of the market owner. But he said that if he died, then Maya, who was now with the ruler, would also die. Outside Izeth, the tribesmen and Emilius were waiting for Austin. The girl heard footsteps behind her. She turned, expecting to see the Lion King, but Elliot stood in front of her. Emilia was thrown into prison. In front of her stood the same guy who sold diamonds at the market. He did not expect to see a girl here. He introduced himself. His name was Eric. The guy asked where the goddess's companion was, but it was a long story. Eric promised to be sure to get Emilia out, since at night the local guards fall asleep, and he will return to animal form and bring a knife. The guy turned into a white-tailed jay. Jays were very small, but the goddess could not transform and would definitely be noticed. Emilia noticed a cactus and an idea came to her mind. It was, of course, very risky, but she had to try. Everything was ready. In the girl's hands were cactus spines soaked in the juice of the white dope flower, which has soporific and hallucinogenic properties. Fortunately, the local guards didn't understand this at all, so they didn't take away what Emilia managed to collect along the way. The goddess threw the thorns and they hit the guard's neck. When the guard fell to the ground dead, Eric simply had no words for what he saw. Izetta Palace. The palace guards were discussing new gossip, that today the Lord was given a new red-haired girl from a tribe in the desert, and right now, the Lord is enjoying her. Emilia immediately understood that they were talking about Maya, but she did not understand how the girl could get here. The goddess told Eric to get out alone, and she still has things to do here, even though Maya did bad things to her. But she is obliged to help her, especially since Austin is probably here too. The guy with a serious face said that he would go with her. The more people there are, the greater the chances of winning. Of course, he was not as strong as the Lion King, but if someone wanted to offend Emilia, he would turn into a bird and peck them. After half an hour, the search for Maya was unsuccessful. The palace was too huge. Emilia was very angry with the ruler. She considered him a scumbag and simply an incredible bastard. Eric knew all this, because there were always many females around the ruler. He took them away and made them his against their will. The guys discovered a place where the females were kept. Many were lying unconscious. One of them, seeing Eric and Emilia, asked for help, saying that Crowley had imprisoned them here. The girl was glad that they found them and freed them. Now the girls will be able to escape. Eric and Emilia discovered the last room in this palace. Having said goodbye, the rescued captive thanked them and warned that all the girls who were kidnapped by Crowley were guarded on this floor. If the one they were looking for was not there, then most likely Crowley would torture her to death. Emilia opened the door to the room, hoping that Maya was still alive. Maya lay on the floor and swore that she would kill Crowley. The Lord lay on her, holding her. He kissed her forcefully, with the confidence that she was powerless before him. Emilia released cactus spines into his neck, and the Lord turned to look at the uninvited guests. With tears in her eyes, Maya could not believe that the goddess was trying to save her. It seemed to her that Emilia was only glad to see her in this state. Crowley pulled out the thorns and, with a grin on his face, was glad that the same goddess of rain had come to him, although he wanted to enjoy her after Maya, but changed his mind. Emilia froze. She couldn't understand why the juice didn't work on him. Grabbing the goddess by the face, he said that now the two of them can serve him, and it will be much more fun. The girl tried to attack him, but Crowley grabbed her hand. Maya also tried to be rude at first, but now she was submissive to him. Approaching her, he advised Emilia to also be submissive, and then she would not suffer. The Lion King appeared out of nowhere, pounced on the ruler, and demanded that he take his dirty hands off his girl. There were bleeding wounds all over Austin's body. Emilia could not imagine what he had to go through. Crowley was glad to see his enemy. He never ceased to amaze him, because even the torture chamber, which the ruler had so carefully built, could not hold the Lion King. Austin ordered the girls to run away, and he attacked the ruler. The guards arrived. Crowley ordered to seize the girls and prevent them from escaping. Elliot walked up to Maya. She looked shabby, and he always considered her a proud female. He told the girl that all this time she had been taking advantage of what he liked. even forcing her to take all the blame on herself and leave her home. And only she was to blame for what was happening to her now. As soon as the Lord gets tired of Maya, then so be it. He will reluctantly accept her for himself, Elliot said. Amelia shielded the girl with herself, trying to protect her. Licking his hand, the guy was surprised by this act, because it was Maya who asked him to attack her. The goddess knew everything, so she was the one who was going to decide what punishment the girl would receive. Amelia believed that many women simply physically would not be able to withstand the onslaught of a man, which is why it was so important for them to support and help each other. And now she was not defending Maya, but the woman who was being abused. In this case, Elliot decided that then the goddess would have to serve the ruler, and then him. A bird flew into the room and attacked the guy. It was Eric who came to the aid of his new friend. Elliot ordered the females to be captured, and he was going to eat this little bird that appeared out of nowhere. Amelia did not know how to save her friend. A system has appeared with a friendly reminder that the thunderstorm skill has already rolled back. The girl wanted to urgently use her skill, but the skill did not work that way. It was not enough to simply shout the word thunderstorm. The goddess imagined herself with Austin. Lightning struck. But it's good that no one will know what was going on in the girl's head at that moment. Elliot was struck down by lightning. The girls she saved appeared in front of Amelia. They were very grateful to her and came to her aid.